Okay, so fourth question is, has athletic training been doing patient-centered care, which I feel like we've talked about a lot, and we kind of came to an agreement that we do.
Sometimes I think we do we sometimes do it a little too much and then not enough at the same time.
Yeah.
So there are some places where we do it more, and then some where we don't do it enough.
And also, I feel like just in broad, like, have they been doing this? Yes or no? I feel like it's yes, because with injuries and the type of things that we deal with, we have to look at a person's whole life instead of just looking at like a sickness or like a sore throat or whatever it is. Like, I mean, like somebody comes in for wrestling with skin something, and it's like, okay, what have you been doing? Like your showering schedule, like all this kind of stuff, and then somebody comes in with like plantar fasciitis. It's like, okay, how long has this been? And I don't know. I feel like just our history questions make us look at the person as an entire whole, and at least gain enough history to know like more about that person.
The athletic training, since we are out on the field with them during practices and stuff, we also get that experience of seeing what happens. And so that also helps us relate to them. Well, we know what happened. We know how this is going on. Right. And so this is what we're going to do about it and stuff like that.
Yeah. And also just working through rehab with somebody, like that's rough. And like, I mean, you see people, I mean, I know specifically we had a girl who just had not gotten better. It had been almost a year since her surgery, over half a year since a surgery and like an injury that completely changed her life, and nothing was better. And like you're going through that with somebody, and you're sending them under the knife again and restarting everything, telling them in the nicest way possible, we have to start over. Like that sucks. And I don't know, I feel like we have to deal with that a lot. And there's days where people are like super pumped for rehab, and there's days that people are like crying because it hurts or they're upset about like what's going on. And like, I don't know, I feel like we deal with a lot of scary situations sometimes, or like they can be scary, like not all the time, but like every once in a while, like you have like a bone pop out or something, and I feel like that puts our position into like something more personal, because when you go through that with somebody, you automatically trust them. And I don't know, I feel like we get like we get the clinical stuff, but we get like emergency in the moment kind of stuff too. So
I know when I was working with a baseball athlete, when I was first starting to ask him the questions, the history questions, he was so, I felt like he was so excited to talk about all his injuries that he's had, because to him that's really personal and everything, and any chance he gets to talk about that, I think it really helps
a lot.
Look
what I've done. I made it through this.
Yeah, he had a lot too, so he was really excited to talk about it, and you could just see in his face that he would just really love talking about it. I don't know about, didn't love going through it, but like talking about it and have someone listen to him and everything. So that was good, and I feel like that with athletic training, we see them at the beginning when it happens, how in the beginning stages of it, and then we also get if they go to surgery after it. So we get and the doctors don't necessarily get that aspect. They get the we're just gonna do surgery on them and then let them go, and let other people deal with it sometimes. But we get the end part of it where we have to deal with them. We have to deal with what their mentality is and stuff like that. So that also brings a big play into athletic training and how we get more. Sometimes I feel like we get more with the patient-centered care and get to know them and get to know what's going on with them.
I feel like a lot of times in athletic training, people, if they don't know about it, look over how much of like the psychological aspect of the sport that we actually do deal with with athletes on a day-to-day basis. Even if they don't have specifically like an injury, they trust us enough to come talk to us about something that might just be going on in their life, and I think that helps to us with our patient-centered care, because they feel like we're close enough and like trustworthy enough to talk to us about those things.
Yeah.
It's like you're taping an ankle and you're talking about where that person's going on a date with their boyfriend. And I've had that experience. No, I've had that experience where they just like start talking about it. So then you like they're coming to talk to us about being injured or like being like lacking in practice or something, but it's also like they just start bringing up random things and because they trust you, and then all of a sudden you have this like connection with them because they're talking to you about their personal life or like what they're doing on the weekend or like their plan and like what their career goal is. And like I've had that experience a lot. It always happens towards the end of the year.
True.
It's never in the beginning, but the end of the year, and then that's what makes it hard to like start a new sport or like end that season because you like want to keep learning about that person and know
I
what's
know.
going on.
Developed a lot of like relationships with those people.
Yeah.
And you like you know that like your season has to end, but that at the same time you're like, am I ever going to really talk to these people again? I mean, you hope so, but you don't
Yeah.
really
Doesn't usually.
I know a
happen.
lot of athletes. They come in just to talk to certified. Sometimes they just come in to talk to them because they're really good friends with them. I think that's really cool, especially here at Manchester because I know we have students just come in to talk to us and they don't even get into it. They just like to talk. They like talk to us about whatever they want, about their sport or what's going on and stuff like that, which I think is really cool.
And I do feel like us and the athletes are good at keeping the line between those two different, you know, friendship and when something's wrong. I've never, I mean, you know, sometimes like people come in and talk and everything, but they know when it's too busy to be like goofing around like that, or they know like when is a good time for that and when's not a good time for that. And I feel like that could be a problem, but at the same time, I feel like we don't necessarily have that problem as much.
We do a good job of
Keeping people on
keeping
course,
people, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, keeping that line between the just being professional and being friends, which I think is with every profession or anything you ever do. There's a line between the personal side of your life and then the professional side of your life.
Yeah, and I've definitely even said like we'll talk after rehab because they're not completely focused if they're talking during rehab. So
So that's with us too. I feel like that's one thing about like if you're in a doctor's office, it's definitely more usually on the overly professional side where you don't really open up much.
Boy,
And
because
they
you're
just
trying
kinda-
to get in and get out.
Yeah, and they're trying to do the same thing.
They have those standard questions that they do, and they just run through them like this. They don't even look at you.
Uh-huh.
And I think that also plays a big role. They don't even look at you when they say their questions. You just answer. They don't even.
Yeah.
I always notice that whenever I go to get a physical or something like that, they just run through the questions. So I don't even look at you. That really takes some of the personal aspect out of it, which I think doesn't really happen with athletic training because when you ask questions, you look at them, you see what they're.
And we're not on a computer.
Yeah, not a computer
We're not
too.
using a computer.
And sometimes we do it from memory too. We don't have a paper, and so we like just pull it from our minds and then we just look at them directly and ask them, which also helps.